So I have been reading, studying the Bible for quite some time, and still there are times that I read something and it completely surprises me. And one of those things, which shouldn't have surprised me, I'm sure I've read it a lot of times. I mean, I don't know. I've taught this several times, but it's the parable of the sower, Luke 8. And it's not just the parable itself. A parable, if you don't know, it's just telling of a story of sin of sorts that will basically clue you in. Like it's like an illustration, right? And so in Luke 8, verse 5, he talks about a guy sowing seed. And he talks about while he was sowing seed, the seed fell in different places and there were different effects. It fell here on the wayside, it was trampled. The birds of the air devoured it. Some fell on the rock, it sprang up, but then it withered because it lacked moisture. Some among thorns, and it was choked up. And some on good ground, and it sprung up, yielding a crop of 100-fold. So that's the parable of the sower. And here in Luke 8, he gives an explanation of that whole parable. But that's not the part that I want to focus on. If you wanted the explanation, read Luke chapter 8. He explains all what the seed is, this, that. He explains all of the details. The thing that shocks me here is what Jesus does next, which is this. When he said these things, he cried, "He who has ears to hear, let him hear." So Jesus delivers this parable, which even the disciples come to him and they say, "Hey, what was that about?" And he has to explain it. Well, it's so interesting to see that Jesus does this, gives this parable, kind of confuses people, and then his response is, "He who has ears, let him hear." And I find this interesting, and one of the reasons is because I'm a pastor, right? And here's the thing. I'm not saying this because I'm discontent with people or bitter about the way people are and stuff like that. It is easy when you're in the ministry to get like that. But my observation of humanity is such that what I know is a lot of people have an expectation that the church will live their spiritual life for them, tell them what to do, explain step by step, make decisions for them. People will come expecting a pastor in 10 minutes to make a major life decision on their behalf, and somehow in a room full of people after a church service discern God's will and direct somebody to make major life decisions. That does happen. But even Jesus, he didn't do that. Okay? He tells this parable and he says, "He who has ears, let him hear." He is saying it's on you to pay attention. Okay? And this is a reality in God's word, is that God does deliver his word, but he also delivers a certain responsibility for people to actually search it out, to know it, and to live it. Okay? He didn't say, "Okay, we're holding classes all week." And a lot of people really expect, I don't understand something, I'm going to go ask a pastor, maybe he can explain it to me. But did you pray about it? Did you take time to seek the Lord? Did you take time to look into it yourself? Did you write down what you're confused about and take time to ask the Lord, okay, Lord, give me an answer on this because I'm confused. I say that because that's counsel I give to people a lot of times. Write it down and then ask the Lord to direct you and to teach you through these things, and then write down what you've learned. Okay, so here's the thing. He delivers this parable, and then he says, he who has ears, let him hear. Listen up. And that's what he's saying. If you have ears, and almost everybody there did, right? There might have been a couple people that couldn't hear, actually physically hear, but he's saying, if you're able to hear, let him hear. He's putting the burden on the people to pay attention and to seek the Lord for answers. And some of them did. The disciples asked him, what does this parable mean? They came to him, they asked him. Okay, I think there's a lot to learn in those two verses, in that in those two things. The Lord saying that, and then those guys coming and actually asking him. Okay, and I'm saying this because, again, a lot of people, they rely completely on a pastor, rely completely on a church to tell them what to believe. They don't use discernment. They don't study the word. They don't, or maybe what happens is they're reading the word and something they're being told seems to contradict it, and they never get the answer. None of those are good scenarios, because you have to learn how to rightly divide the word of truth. And if you're just being told what to believe, you're not doing that. So it's kind of an interesting thing that the Lord did this. The one thing that I love about this is I can picture this happening somewhat, and I think it must have been super interesting time. I can see the Lord saying that and then just walking off and people looking at each other like, what just happened? And that's the thing. That's the thing. He didn't always play, not that he's playing a game, but he didn't do it the way that it was always expected. He did these things to get people's attention and to cause them to basically search out what the Lord's will was for them. So I'm encouraging you today to be that type of person that's in the Word, that knows the Word. I know many of you are, but I'm just saying, I don't know who's going to watch this, and it's super easy to let somebody else do your thinking for you. Don't do that. Don't be that person. Be in the Word. Make sure, if you're not sure about something, search it out and figure out what it means, and figure out how that's important to you. What's the application? So anyways, may the Lord richly bless you. Thanks so much for watching this video. Leave me a comment if it blessed you, if it's challenging. Also, take a minute or a split second, really, click the subscribe button, like the video. I'll see you again tomorrow. God bless you.